Hey, good morning. It is now 10 a.m. and it's time for Odd Musings. Scott hasn't joined me yet. Not sure what's going on. He may be busy with phone calls, work, but I'm hoping he'll join us here in a little while here. Uh, Not sure what we're talking about. Scott and I haven't had a chance to talk this week. Both been kind of busy. Running late with a client will be on soon. That's what Scott just said. So he'll be here as soon as he can. I will say, okay. So there we go. So I'll go ahead and knock out some ad reads for us then here. And I'm going to start off with Loringer Family Chiropractic Center, PC. Located in Belleville, Michigan and Dexter, Michigan, they take great pride in providing the finest chiropractic care to each and every patient, offering on-site digital x-rays. They used to offer massage therapies. I believe they're just about done with that. I haven't talked to them about that in a while, but I know they're moving into some new ventures, waiting for that to be formally announced. I can talk about that here on the air for them. But they have aromatherapy. They have living oil, young living essential oils, full line vitamins, all in a family-oriented environment. Give them a call, 734-697-4244. Visit them online at LoringerFamilyChiropractic.com. They have a link at oddmusings.com to make it easy for you. As you all know, I've talked about many times, been a patient there. I'll be seeing Dr. Anna today. I go out to Dexter now on Wednesdays to that location instead of the Belleville one, just because my schedule and syncs up better with Dr. Anna's schedule there. So that's part of the reason to do that. But definitely recommended chiropractic care to each and everybody. So definitely checking into it. The thing I always say is you always want to investigate your chiropractor first. And that's one thing Loringers recommend also. And also before they even manipulate you, make sure they're doing x-rays and talking about why they're going to do certain things before they actually do that. That's a sign of a good chiropractor to start there. And you can definitely question their knowledge on that. So definitely check out Loringer Family Chiropractic Center, PC. And then also we have, let me find them here for you real quick. Scott's busy working this angle of it right now. And there it is, Team Titans of Real Estate. And Scott says, why? Because you matter. They offer all the stuff you can do when you're looking for a brand new home here in Southeast Michigan, mainly in Macomb, Oakland, Wayne counties, but they can definitely help you out here anywhere in Michigan or anywhere in the country because they have contacts everywhere. They use what's called MLS to look up stuff, and definitely you can give them a call at their mobile here, which is 586-549-6096. Email them at teamtitansofrealestate@gmail.com. They also have a website, which when you go there, that also takes you to the main site there. I think it's what Scott usually shares as the main one there. So let me get there now. There it is. And this is where you can search the MLS when you're looking for a home. With everything going on in the industry and in the world right now with homes, you definitely want to deal with a good realtor. So definitely check out Team Titans of Real Estate. And Scott and or Jill will definitely be happy to take care of you on any of your real estate needs. And of course, you can see here they have something pending there and other stuff. So they're always sharing stuff on Facebook, tips and tricks and things like that. So definitely check them out there. So see what we're going to talk about here, because I hadn't really planned on Scott not being on right away, so I wasn't even sure what we were going to talk about because it's been one of those weeks. I know we had sorry, I'm moving stuff out of the way here. It was Memorial Day this past weekend, and I know a lot of people celebrate different ways. Some actually celebrate, or not really celebrate, but just honor it as the day it is, and remembering those that we lost during some of the different wars over the years. That's kind of where it started. Let me see here. Let's read up some history of that. It's only been an actual national holiday since like 1971. But it started off as I believe it was right after as first widely observed May 30th, 1868, as commemorate the sacrifices of Civil War soldiers. And it was done by proclamation of General John Logan of the Grand Army of the Republic, an organization of former Union sailors and soldiers. You may see, and I've seen different highways that are Highway of the Grand Army of the Republic, and that's kind of where that comes from. I believe, I'm not familiar with that, but it sounds like it's a precursor like to the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the VFW, that we all know about, and different things like that. During the first national commemoration, the former Union General and sitting Ohio Congressman James Garfield made a speech at the Arlington National Cemetery, after which 5,000 participants helped to decorate the graves of more than 20,000 Union and Confederate soldiers who were buried there. I do know they do a lot of that stuff to this day at Arlington on the memorial. You see stuff on the news. things like that. In 1873, New York was the first state to designate Memorial Day as a legal holiday. By the late 1800s, many more cities, communities observed it, and several states declared it a legal holiday. After World War One, it became an occasion for honoring those who died in all of America's wars, and was then more widely established as a national holiday. But again, it was 1971 when Congress passed the Uniform Monday Holiday Act and established that Memorial Day was to be commemorated on the last Monday of May. Um, so that's kind of why we get that. That's why the date itself changes, and uh, they commemorate at Arlington National Cemetery each year with a ceremony in which a small American flag is placed on each grave. Traditionally, the president or vice president lays a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. I did not really pay attention to any news the last couple of days. I did actually work that day, where a lot of people have the weekend off. They have a 3 to 4 day weekend, but I chose to actually work that day because a lot of people do want groceries delivered, and I'm still doing shipped. And so it was definitely a busy day for us that day because people here in Michigan, at least, a lot of the kids still have school for about 2 to 3 more weeks. I know some have gotten out. I know there's some in Indiana. I've got friends that have kids in Indiana that have gotten out already. Florida got out already. I know that because people I know down there in other states. But a lot of northern states go just a little bit longer. So I know here in Michigan it's going to be going until probably around the 20th or so of June, depends on your school district here on that. So of course, a lot of the orders on Monday were stuff you can see like people taking for lunches. You see a lot of the Lunchable stuff. They're getting back from their little mini vacation, so they had to stock up on all the fun stuff they had there. But however you celebrated this past weekend, whether it was in honor of those past, and you did somebody maybe attended a parade or things like that. I hope you had a great weekend. I know here in Michigan, we were flirting with 90 degrees all weekend. We're hitting that again next couple of days. It's funny after like just 2.5 weeks ago or so, we were talking about snow and ice again. It's a little bit around here in Michigan, and now boom, we skipped over spring again completely, and we've gone right into full blown July, August, summer. So a lot of fun there. It's definitely been warm, that's for sure. We had to kick on the air here where I live at my home. It's situated such that we just don't get a good enough breeze to flow through the house in the summertime to kind of keep it cool. So a lot of times we have to turn the air on because it just helps out with that. Because I came in the other night and it was just warm and it's stifling, and it's more stuffy than actually just like hot. It's just very stuffy. So it's like trying to sleep in that. It's pretty bad. And the dog doesn't like it either. So we turn on the air and we all kind of get a little more comfortable. And then of course at night then you can still have a little bit of a blanket. So I do like a blanket at night, nothing heavy, but just that. And I know the dog does too because he enjoys scratching it on the blanket there. So, but yeah, so we had Memorial Day this past weekend. Definitely a little warm. I'm not sure how it was rest of the country for those that are watching, but um, I know that they had looking at this PBS site there, they had some concerts and things like that all around the country. So I deliver out towards Dexter a lot in Ann Arbor, and I know Dexter had a Memorial Day parade in the morning because I had to be mindful of that if I was driving around that way that day. So that's kind of what I was doing all weekend, was just working as normal. It's funny how that it seems to happen. It's just kind of work, work, work. Um, Also, we have, let me see if I can find this here. Scott's doing a second chance to get some Crimson Shadows comics. These are the individual first printing comics. You definitely want to check these out if you're a comic collector. We do appreciate all the support through our Bardstone uh, stuff that we have going on here. So let me see if I can pull this up here. There it is. It's at a site called fundmycomic.com. I'm going to copy the link, and let's see if I can get the link here, and I'll look for a quick link. They don't really have a quick link, I don't think. And okay, so let me drop that in the comments here. So, if we're, we talk about these all the time on all our podcasts, is the different projects we're doing through the comics end and things like that. It's part of the reason I started doing this. So with the, there we go. So this is a chance to get issues 1 through 4 of our Crimson Shadows story that Scott's been writing, primarily been doing the illustrations on, and then Kevin does the inking. I do the lettering. Scott does the coloring, as well as we had Cheryl Lima do some of the flats and some of the issues. We got 14 days to go. Not looking to raise tons, $500. It's really just a chance to offer the comics game because we don't offer them right now as a store option. So that's something to keep in mind on that. So, there's different things like here's you can get retro rails for $7. That's another part of the Bard Zone. There's Scott. He's popping on here. As well as his Emmanuel God with Us, and then $10 to get issue 1, $10 issue 2, 3, and then $12 issue 4 because that is a 44-page book. Hey, Scott.
Well, hello there. How are you?
Good. I'm just kind of going over real quick the second chance book here on my comics and some of the different comics.
Oh, awesome.
Real quick. I was trying to think of something to waste time.
Well, I appreciate that.
And I've already done all the ad reads, so we're good there.
Oh, perfect.
So, and then like this is my cover here, so $15 and get my cover from issue 3.
Yeah. Now, just FYI for those of you looking, Brett's cover for issue 1 was our first cover to sell out. So you might want to get on those other issues there if you want to make sure you get these ones too.
Yep. And then there's, issue 4 one I did, as well as I know you get the novelizations, and you got some sets too. You got the digital set, and then I know you've got the complete starter set here, or ultimate starter set.
Yep, that gets you the whole set.
Yep, that's a great way to go. So I noticed we're at a couple backers, $110, or $108 right now.
And this is no matter what is raised, it will be fulfilled. This isn't like the setting for this is not like Kickstarter where it's all or nothing. This is keep it all. So my goal is minimum 500, but if this is all we do, these people will get their rewards.
Yeah, it's a great way, like I was saying before you got on, to offer these because we don't have an actual physical store really set up online to constantly ship stuff out. So occasionally I think this is a great way to offer the products.
Yeah, and every time we do a show, we get new followers and stuff. So sometimes people buy 1 or 2 issues, and then they're like, "Oh, I should have bought them all." So this is your chance. So keep an eye on your emails too if you've met us if you're on our mailing list, because I sent out 1 email already a couple days ago. I'm going to be sending each week. I'm going to send out 1 email. I'm not going to bombard everyone with a million emails, but yeah, it's been such a blast doing Crimson Shadows, and it truly is really well done. I mean, yes, I'm biased, but the feedback says it all. People are loving it.
Yep, and you get to see some of the same things I saw last year at a couple of the shows. Is people come by on like a Friday or Saturday, buy issue 1, and then they have to come back either the same day or the next day and buy the rest of them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, it's been a fun read, and it's a lot of pages. I mean, we're talking like 160 something.
If you scroll down a little bit, I have the page count listed. Keep going, right there.
No, 134 pages.
Yeah, and that's for just 4 issues. That's a lot of content for 4 issues. I mean, issue 4 alone is a double-sized issue. It's 44 pages. So
yeah. Because we're independent, we can do what we want in terms of sizes, but it's definitely most comics are about 20 to 24 pages tops for actual story. The rest is either ads or just not there. And then when you're doing, and then you see a double size issue, those are usually like what we just did with the issue 4. Right. Well, most of our issues are already oversized anyway. So
right. And then and we're working feverishly on upcoming content. So we have more stuff coming down the road. So we thought this would be just like I said, just a nice way of catching up with the series. So when we run our next Kickstarter, you'll be caught up and you don't have to get the whole collection at that point. You can get it now.
Right. Exactly.
So
Scott,
cool.
What's been going on, man?
It's been busy. So this morning we had a client that we were working with. So took care of that. So it ran a little longer than expected. So thank you for carrying the weight of the show on your shoulders, like Atlas.
Yeah,
holding it up there.
Well, I have to figure out how to go through this, and I could screen from my Xbox to here, and I can just play video games the whole time like everybody does anymore in these games.
Yeah.
And then because I've been playing the not a lot. I'd like to play a lot more, but I got stuff I have to do. But that Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh yes.
And I'm really enjoying it. I like a good RPG like this. It's Skyrim is like this, but there's a bunch of others over the years. And it's an open world format. You have stuff you have to do, but you can kind of go and explore and things like that. And it really is adding a lot to the world of Hogwarts, not Harry Potter, because it's set in the late 1800s, but it's just that whole mythology of what Hogwarts was, the wizarding world at that time. you're a student, things like that. So it's really, I'm glad it's not tied into Harry Potter, and it's just um, its own thing. So it's kind of neat to explore and see what's going on around that time.
Yeah. I want to share too. Uh, got a new car.
Oh,
Got a new Ford through a good friend who and family member who helped me get the friends and family discount.
yeah,
If they want to reveal themselves, they're allowed to. It's up to them. And but absolutely love this car. So I had a 2018 Ford Escape, and I was shopping around trying to see what the trade-in is. And really, this is a lesson for everybody. When it's time to trade in your car, do your homework. I knew what the Kelley Blue Book value was of my car, so I knew what the range was. I went to multiple dealers. I was getting usually about 11 to 13,000 as a trade-in value for my car. The Ford dealership offered me 14, and I didn't even have to tell them what the other dealers were offering. So, shop around, see what the best deal is for your car for a trade-in value. With this one, I got the Ford Escape again, but this is the upgraded version. This is the ST line, it's called. So it's a little sportier. It's got a bigger engine in it. I like the red trim that they have.
oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. And
Yeah,
there's
the ST stands for Sport Track. So
Sports Track. Okay, yeah. So there's that. I was trying to find my post. Oh, here it is. The exterior. So this is what the exterior looks like. So it's a little sportier. They beefed up the front of the car a little bit compared to the 2018. They also, I really wasn't looking to get the Escape again because the 2022 model, they actually made a little smaller. But he said in 2023, they went back to a little bigger size. So it's more equivalent to what I was used to. So I was very happy with it. I really like how it looks. And with the more powerful engine, it feels really good. So
awesome.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
Very nice.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I want to give a shout out to, I got to find the link here, is my daughter Ashley. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Newsweek did an article about her, which was interesting. So she didn't realize this was going to happen, actually. She did an interview with Yahoo News. And let me stop that screen and present the right screen. There we go. So she did an interview with Yahoo News, and that got a lot of attention. Long story short, she had a child with Down syndrome, and then she had that's Lily, and then she had Evelyn, which did not have Down syndrome. But then when she had her third child, Catherine, she had Down syndrome. Now, one child with Down syndrome isn't like crazy, that happens, but two is rare. So they did some testing and found out Ashley actually has what's called mosaic Down syndrome. So, and that's where it's in a certain percentage of the body, whereas trisomy 21 Down syndrome is through the entire body. So we never knew she had this. There was no indicators, nothing, no one knew. She just knew because she did the testing because she had two children with Down syndrome. So anyways, she did the article with them. She got contacted. People Magazine is contacting her. They want to do an interview. And then this other author who's associated with Newsweek talked to her a while back, and then Ashley never heard back. So she didn't realize they were going to do something. And then a friend's like, hey, you're in Newsweek. So she's like, oh. So anyway, so there's been some traction there. We have a website we're putting together for her called awareness21.com. That's not up and running yet, but we have the domain grabbed. So we're going to be putting together a site that has resources and information for people who are maybe just learned that they have a Down syndrome baby coming or something like that. So we're putting together like an awareness website, just a one-stop shop. As it grows, we hope to expand it out to be multiple regions. So wherever you're at, you can find the local resources you need in your neck of the woods.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that's been interesting. And her like TikTok is going crazy.
Mhm.
She's been contacted. She's got like 90,000 followers now. And it's growing. And now she got contacted by an agency that represents some very major TikTok people who are, sounds like she's going to partner with.
Oh,
And
nice.
they will manage her content. They will manage when you hook up with those sites. Like the problem we have is the algorithms always stop us.
Mhm.
You do a post, even when you promote it, it's like 20 people see it. Well, when you get hooked up with these companies, they know how to manipulate those algorithms, and they get it out where millions will see it.
Mhm.
So hopefully she can do ads for us. We'll have to pay her to become an ad rep, so our posts will be seen by everyone. But so, anyways, some good stuff happening for her there. So I'm happy for her.
Very cool. Very cool. I know you made an announcement last week. You canceled your Netflix.
Hmm,
I haven't
I
canceled
did.
mine at this time, but I've been thinking about it. Not because you canceled it, and not even because of what they said, but I was starting to think about. It's like I'm spending this money. It's like, how much am I really watching it? And I realized I'm not watching as much as I was because I've seen a bunch of stuff on there
Yeah,
already, and it's like, well, maybe I step away for about 6 months. Really, I mean, I'm not seeing much coming up that I'm excited about because Stranger Things hasn't finished up. I want to see that
right.
still. So it's like, why pay for it if I'm not going to use it? And I think that's what we're going to see with Netflix is a lot of that. We've talked about these different mergers and that, but so I started going back and looking at the services I have now. Of course, I've mentioned before, I get my Disney Plus / Hulu free because of my cell phone. It's included in that, every month.
Yep.
Which is funny because when I switched to that plan, I actually saved $5 a month off my cell bill, and then I saved the extra almost $15. Now it's more than that off the Disney Plus package
Right.
because it was the bundle. And then I always have the Amazon Prime, and I get it not because of the videos as much as everything else. The shipping and things like that, different deals you get as a Prime member, but so like that. So I started watching and actually went through the whole series. It's only 6 episodes right now. I'm hoping it gets renewed for more. It's a German series called The Griffin. Have you heard about this?
I have not.
I popped up last week, so it's not even been out a week. I was looking for something. I was like, okay, what is this? And I knew it was a dubbed series. It's from Germany, so it's dubbed. I'm really liking not just Prime, but all the streaming services, whoever they're all using for their dubbing and doing way better than it used to be.
Yeah.
I remember way back in the day, it was all mainly just the Japanese stuff, and they would just be horribly dubbed. The guy's mouth be moving and nothing's coming out,
I
and he'd be
think a
like,
big
okay.
I think a big part of it is just, really look at the surge in voice acting in the
Mhm.
last 15 years.
Oh yeah,
The voice acting has really become a very legitimate form of acting through the video games and all these different sources. So
yeah,
I think that also affects the quality of the dubbing, is that there's access to true actors who can do voiceovers.
yeah. And it's a lot with the back to the Japanese stuff with the anime stuff because that
Right.
was being dubbed. Back in the late '90s, it started into early 2000s. A lot of people would do their own dubbing, and there's groups get together, and it was
Hmm.
people that were like, high school, college that like to act anyways. And then, of course, they were as illegally done. So then companies started doing it legally and finding good actors, and not just
Yep.
worrying about saying, "Oh, well, nobody cares. They'll just watch it, whatever." And realizing that, the more we do better dubbing, the more they actually do, and that's why we see in the theaters. Uh, like the Miyazaki stuff, when it always gets re-released, they offer it with the original, but then offer it with a dubbed. I see more and more people say, "Hey, the dub's just as good."
Yeah. Well, and even like comic book conventions,
Mhm.
15 years ago, you would rarely see voice actors signing autographs. Now you'll have huge sections of voice actors. And when I watch
Yeah.
recaps of foreign Comic Cons, they'll have the voice actors signing autographs who did the major voices for major films that were U.S. films originally. So
Yes.
there's a good quality following that the quality, the more money that's in a field, the more quality will move to it. Even big name actors now do a lot of voice work for cartoons and CGI and different things like that. You would never hear of that before.
Oh yeah, no, and it's changed a lot. I've listened to Rob Paulson was one of my favorite voice actors,
Mm.
and he did his talking tunes with Rob Paulson, and this was around like 2000, I think 9 or 10. He started it somewhere around
Yeah.
that, and he did it for a few years, and he talked to other actors, stuff like that, and he was doing it really to talk about the art of being a voice actor. And he said it's about acting. It's not about just doing voice mimicking, imitation. You really need to be able to act, and it comes
Mhm.
through on the stuff they did. And he actually talked a lot about the history of animation in America on voice acting. And really, I mean, you go back and while they had different people in certain movies when Disney started things like that, like Warner Brothers, you had Mel Blanc, and you had June Foray did a bunch of stuff over the years. But realistically, there was like 20 people that did like everything,
Everything. Right.
for the longest time. And then when Saturday morning cartoon starts to change a little bit in the 70s. And then when they went to syndication in the 80s, is when we started seeing more and more people doing it as a regular gig, as a regular job. And it wasn't just the same people like Dawes Butler or June Foray. And some of those they were getting older. So they, definitely had to find other people. And then, of course, when you look at like the He-Man, G.I. Joes, Transformers, there was so many of these shows that, while they got lambasted for being like commercials for toys, they still had like 65 to 120 episode runs of their animation. So they had to find actors to do it all. And that's where we get like a Peter Cullen,
Oh yeah,
and things like that.
who's
So
iconic. I mean, the voice of
yeah.
Optimus Prime is iconic.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to the Griffin in a minute. That's why I took it down. But since we switched topics all of a sudden,
Oh yeah, somehow because it's it was dubbed.
yeah. So
But yeah, it's such an iconic voice, and and when you had, like you said, back in the day, one guy doing 100 different voices, there's only so many voices someone can do, and before you start getting things sounding alike.
Right.
And,
I mean, for someone like a Mel Blanc, there's not as many people can be able to do something like what he did. And he created all these different voices. Though, if you really listen, there is a slight similarity on different ones for you to be able to put different accents in them.
yeah,
But definitely, it was someone like a Mel Blanc. There's not going to be a lot of those guys floating around. So,
right.
But yeah, so it's in terms of the voice acting, what we see is a lot of people do that. So,
the closest I can think of right now would be Dee Bradley.
D. Bradley Baker.
Yeah, he does a lot of different voices in Star Wars alone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, somehow it's amazing watching his technique when he does like the Clone Wars. He's doing the same voice for 100 different characters because all the clones have the same voice, but then he'll do very slight twists in accent or tone to give each specific clone a unique voice. That's got to be hard to do, that minor adjustment.
Well, one of the voice guys that really I think would be more the Mel Blanc is Frank Welker.
Oh, yeah,
Frank's 77. But you go back through his stuff. I mean, he was like
Megatron.
He was Megatron, Dr. Claw. He played Nibbler on Futurama. He was Scooby Doo, Fred on Scooby Doo. He does sound effects, voices, creatures, things like that. So he's got a huge range. I mean, he's anywhere from the Saturday morning cartoons through feature films and things like that. He's got such a huge IMDb page and all that stuff. It's just way too much to try to go through on that. But he does everything. I mean, he's one of those guys been around forever and stuff like that, and been active for a long time. But it's like just pulling up real quick here. It says 641 known credits.
Wow,
known. That's just known.
No, known. He probably doesn't even know what he's contributed to.
Yeah, it's like Despicable Me. He's listed for Despicable Me 4 that comes out next year, and he's credited as Kyle Grew, which is the dog, because he does those type of animals, and then he's also Lucky the goat. And then he did a Scooby-Doo Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo. He was Scooby-Doo, Fred, and then Rudy, and then Nefario. He was the voice of Nefario on that one. He voiced himself on Scooby-Doo. Oh, wow. Stuff like that. He was in Scoob, that one animated one they did. He was, and of course, Scooby. He's just the best Scooby voice in that. So
another one too. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Alan Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer.
He did He-Man and so many other things. But to show the range, he even did the Smurfs.
Now, and again, this is another one that's up there in age. He's 93. Frank Welker is like 77. So these guys have been around for a long time. And these guys Welker and Oppenheimer kind of were in that cusp of when there wasn't that many to being part of the many that are out there, but still one of the more in demands. But yeah, in terms of now, I mean, there's tons of them now, and it really, like I said, with the Rob Paulses, the D. Bradley Baker, stuff like that, and we see those guys at Comic Cons quite a bit. So
Yeah.
different, and we see a lot of the ones that do all the Japanese stuff for the American dubs,
Yeah.
and they're big names. And when we've seen it used to be like, those are the guys who go up for like, oh yeah, 15, $20, you get an autograph. It's 35, $40 starting and going up from there. And some of these Japanese ones, the anime ones, at Indiana, they were like 50, $60.
And they'll have long lines.
Oh yeah. And it was like 50, $60 an autograph. And then if you do a photo op with them, they're still charging another 25, 30, $40.
Yeah.
And you get like, what's his name? Kenny, he did the voice of SpongeBob, and he's up there and that stuff.
I would love to meet Peter Cullen, just because Optimus Prime for me is such an important character in my life. But as far as voice actors I've met, my all-time favorite was, and I think you were with me, I think it was in Tampa when we ran into Rob Paulsen and Maurice
LaMarche. Maurice LaMarche, yeah.
Oh, Maurice LaMarche, yeah. I when you said LaMarche, I'm like, oh, I screwed up his first name.
Yeah, it was on the elevators there at the Marriott.
Yeah, that was so cool meeting them. And I got to tell Maurice my appreciation for him being the creator of International Speak Like William Shatner Day.
Yeah. Now, Peter doesn't do a lot of shows. I've seen a couple listed here or there. Not many, though.
He would make a fortune just doing signings.
Yeah, he's like 81.
He works a lot still. Well, not a lot anymore, but he still will step in for Transformers every now and then.
He do movies? Yeah, he does the movies. And what really was he was not going to be in the original Transformer movie, the live action one. And there was so much backlash from the fans ahead of time saying, no. Peter Cullen's alive. He should do the voice of Optimus Prime. He does the voice of Optimus Prime on the Transformers ride at Universal Studios.
Yeah. His voice is so iconic. I wouldn't be surprised if he sells the rights for the AI use of his voice for future Transformer projects.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, one that we used to see a lot of, and unfortunately we won't see again, though, was Kevin Conroy. He really was the voice of Batman.
Oh, yeah. I just saw an old interview with him talking about for September 11th when that happened. He had went down there and was volunteering and working in a kitchen where they were serving like the firefighters and stuff, the first responders. So he was helping to serve food as his way of helping. And a guy heard him talking. He's like, are you Batman? And he's like, yes, I am. So the guy goes out and, it's this big somber mood. Everybody, it's hell down in New York at this time.
Yeah.
And this guy goes out there and goes, guess what, guys? Batman's serving our food. And someone's like, yeah, right. And so Kevin Conroy goes out and yells out some kind of phrase, Batman phrase. And everyone's like, holy, it really is him. And then like everybody is like applauding and so happy. And the guy who first announced it said, how does it feel to be Santa Claus? Because he was just instantly able to bring joy to everybody,
Yeah. So we got Robert chiming in. Hey, Robert, how you doing,
buddy?
Hey,
how are you?
So back to The Griffin. So it's 6 episodes for the first season. I don't know if it's been renewed yet. I haven't seen anything yet. It is a German production. And I guess they said it's the most elaborate German production since they did Never Ending Story. No, Never Ending Story.
Never Ending Story is German?
It's a German production.
I did not know that.
That's what I was reading. So I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting on that. But it's based on a German bestseller, fantasy bestseller. And of course, Der Grief is the German version of the name of that. But so it is dubbed, like we were talking about. Mm-hmm. It's set in 1994, which I find that pretty much shows like these fantasy stuff like that. Setting them in the 80s and 90s is really the best way to go, because you get too much of the modern stuff. People are like, well, I can just get on my phone and go do. Where here they don't have their cell phones or even internet, and I like that aspect of it. But the main character, Mark, there, his family is a long line of people that have what's called the Chronicle. This is book, and it deals with this other realm, which is where the Griffin is, and has the Black Tower, and the Black Tower there has multiple levels, and the eventual goal is to defeat the Griffin. Uh, and it starts off when he's 6 years old, and this has been 1984, and his father takes him and his older brother's already 16, and they don't get too much into what they're doing right away, stuff like that. I'm not going to get too deep into it. But basically, his father dies, and then we jump 10 years forward, and Mark is now turning 16. His brother doesn't live with him and his mom anymore. He left after being locked up for a couple of years for believing all this stuff about the Griffin, because their father said the father was delusional with this chronicle. They're delusional. None of these things are real and things like that. So, and then he starts learning from his brother about a few things. So at the same time, he's navigating high school, and his brother and him have a record store that they own, and it's in a small town in Germany. So we get a lot of 80s and 90s heavy metal and grunge music playing throughout the whole series. So a lot of good soundtracks in this one.
Yeah, it looks like it's based on an actual series, a novelization series.
Yep. And it's got a very Stranger Things thing. That's one thing I see as criticism is, it feels like Stranger Things. Yeah, it does. But Stranger Things feels like Goonies. So
Yeah, it's Goonies meets Ghostbusters. And
yeah, I feel like this has got a little bit of the Goonies, Stranger Things. I remember that movie called The Gate from the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's got a little feel of that. They're definitely referencing a lot of heavy metal stuff. You've got the main character, Mark, there. You got Becky, and then you got Memo. And it's funny when you read the synopsis, it makes it sound like all three of them right from the get-go. It really is more of the journey of Mark in this and his brother. And a lot of things going on there. So I definitely try not to give too much away. Recommend watching it. 6 episodes, so it's about 6 hours long. I watched it over like 3-4 days, a couple episodes here and there. Like I said, the dubbing was very good. I thought that the production quality was excellent. It's produced by Amazon, so they worked with this production company W&B, not Warner Bros., but W&B in Germany, and they definitely put a little money into this. And let me see what this. Actually, you know what? Here's a trailer.
Okay.
So let me pop that up. Or there's
here, real quick. Is this the book series here? The Griffin Chronicles? Is this
no, that's a different one.
That's not it? Oh, okay.
That fooled me too. So there's a similar I looked that up, and that's something else that's kind of done by an American author, where this one's done by a German author, and I don't think it's been translated.
Oh, okay.
If it has, I haven't. I've been able. If I was looking at Amazon, they show the German edition. Here, I'll share that real quick. And it's right here, Der Grief. Okay. And you can get it. It's just it says German edition in that, and it's done by Wolfgang Holbein, and it says Heike Holbein, which I believe is his wife. So
okay.
So they do that together.
Nice. Is it a single book or is there many?
No, there's a series of them.
Okay.
I'm not sure how many out now. Again, still looking up the information on this.
Yeah.
But he's got a lot of books. This guy does. I guess he's almost like a Stephen King for the fantasy over in Germany. But he's got a lot of like 480 titles mentioned. I'm sure there's a bunch of ones here. So, here's this book series here. This whatever it is.
When you try to read German, it always comes across as angry. Like
yeah. Well, it's like you can see all those YouTube videos, and it's like, here's this word in English. Fairy, German.
Yeah, like just trying to read those titles, they sound angry. Wiedercar.
Yeah, as you can see here, he's got a ton of books and that. So there's some stuff, of course, are duplicated, but
yeah, it's a good description saying like the Stephen King of German fantasy.
Yeah. So, but let me share this little bit here, and it's on IMDb, and so we can get someone to sue us again.
I just always wonder, how does someone write that much? That's so much. Same with Stephen King. Yeah, it's just amazing. How many pages a day must they write?
No, go wait for the ad. All right, I'm waiting for the ad, and I'll put it up.
Dun dun dun.
There we go.
Hang my head. Bist du bereit? Drown my fear. In den Kampf zu ziehen. Till you all just disappear. Gemeinsam gegen den Greif. Schick die Jäger los! Los!
It looks good.
I can tell you this: the voice acting on the German side is definitely better than the American side or English side. But the English side did a good job.
Huh.
Let's slay some fucking demons.
That did not sound like German.
No, and there was times when you could tell they did actual English. So
very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm glad you found that. I'm definitely gonna have to check that out.
I liked it a lot, and it was a lot of fun. I can't wait for another season on this. It's definitely just I would like to, if they do the translation on the novels, I wouldn't mind reading the novels. But yeah, it's like I said, it's got all the stuff I like, which is what I always liked about Stranger Things and things like that. So definitely highly recommend it. And then once you've watched it, then we can kind of go through and talk about it a little more in depth. And I want to see what you think on that too. So like I said, I thought they did a good job, and I always almost feel like it could have been done in America because of the music and everything else is just all. It's like around this time is grunge is already hot, so you get a lot of that stuff. Black Hole Sun is played through that, but then you talk about at once someone says, what's the greatest album ever, and the guy comes, it's Metallica's Black Album, which had just come out a few years before. So Metallica's referenced a lot, different things like that. It's like, yeah, that was all the music of the 90s, early 90s like that was really popular. So
yeah, early 90s too. Like someone had done this 1991 was such an amazing year for music. You had Guns N' Roses, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. There was I think Nirvana released that year. Was it Soundgarden? I forget. There's like 8 albums released that year that all became like iconic albums.
Well, it was the year that everything shifted. It was halfway through the year you get Nirvana coming out, Soundgarden. They'd already been around for years, but they finally hit it big on the national scale, and the music taste changed from the hair metal of the 80s to the grunge, and it even changed the fashion almost immediately. I mean, the hairspray industry took a major hit in mid 1991 when the women started, the girls stopped spraying their hair up and they just let it fall down.
Yeah. Oh, here's the image I was talking about. Let's see here. Present it.
Is that the cassette tapes?
Yeah.
I see this a lot.
Yeah, but it's so true. It was that's the year I was at U of M that year, and I kept going to the record store to buy the new albums that were coming out. And yeah, Metallica's Black Album, Pearl Jam's 10, Guns N' Roses, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. And back then, it'd be like a midnight release. I remember lining up at the record store waiting for midnight to hit.
Well, and if you're in Ann Arbor, it was Tower Records.
Yep, exactly. That's where it was. And Red Hot Chili Peppers came out, Soundgarden, and Nirvana. I mean, every single one of those albums are iconic now.
Yeah, and if you look, that's the whole change of the music taste from the heavy metal of the 80s to the grunge metal of the 90s.
Yeah, Seattle. Pearl Jam was from Seattle. Nirvana was Seattle too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So and Soundgarden, all of them from that area, and that really was that Seattle sound they call it, because there's all garage bands.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting how sound comes from an area too. Like even you go farther back to when Poison got signed, Motley Crue, they all were from that LA area.
Yep.
And there was a handful of 1 or 2 very popular clubs that the bands that played there all got signed.
Yep, and Whiskey A Go Go was the big one, and right there on Sunset Strip and that. But yeah, it was. If you look back, it was the '80s hair metal was all the LA bands.
Yeah,
your point out, you even had like LA Guns. It was like,
which became Guns N' Roses.
No, LA Guns was a separate, completely different band.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
who was Guns N' Guns? And let's see,
LA Guns was its own band.
Origin,
and of course they were out of LA. They were formed in '83. And it consists of Tracy Guns, Phil Lewis, Ace Van Johnson, Johnny Martin, Andy Hamilton, and Sean Duncan. but they were a separate band completely from Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
But Guns N' Roses, they all came from different bands before that too. That they were when were they formed? 85. They were formed in LA, signed to Geffen in 86. But yeah, they all basically were put together almost there. They came together from all doing different bands. I mean, Slash had been around a while there at that point, and Duff McKagan was kind of known. So when they came together, they formed Guns N' Roses. So
Yeah, Tracy Guns. He came from LA Guns, and he went over, and he was the Guns portion of Guns N' Roses, and Axl Rose was the Rose portion. So Tracy Guns was originally LA Guns, and then joined Guns N' Roses. If you look up Tracy Guns, Tracii is how you spell his name. So him and Axl Rose, when they joined forces, became Guns N' Roses.
yeah, but he's not listed in the original lineup for Guns N' Roses.
He was the founding member of Guns N' Roses with Axl. Look up Tracy Guns. You'll see it in his.
Yeah, I'm looking up right now.
All right. Well, he is.
Yeah.
That's the Guns portion.
Yeah, he was the co-founder of LA Guns, as well as the super named Brides of Destruction and Contraband. Okay, he wasn't. Oh, here it was. He was a founding member, but left shortly after, was replaced by Slash. So he wasn't part of the Guns N' Roses that we knew. He
was the founding member with Axl.
I know, but he left because he already had LA Guns anyways. But and them, so that's what I was getting at was LA Guns was a separate band entirely.
Oh yeah, they were a separate band.
And they continued on even as Guns N' Roses went on. So
yes.
But yeah, and I think what it was is he left because he knew he would never have the lead status after Axl was going to take lead.
Yes, I agree.
Plus that. Slash, as we know from the commercials, if Slash shows up, you put him in the band.
Well, and actually, the combination of Axl and Slash was such a perfect combination. They clashed a lot, but they balanced each other out really well to make just such amazing music. I really, in all of their albums, I don't think there's a single song I don't like. Usually there's some songs you just skip past on some albums. I can't think of one song out of all their albums that I don't care for. I love them all.
Well,
so
that's good. And like I said, that's what I think you love about the Griffin is the soundtrack was a lot of those great songs from that time.
Yeah.
And what I also like is the main character, Mark, he loves music. And he actually makes money. I thought it was kind of cool, making mixtapes for people. He actually set up a store in the school. He like flips this thing up, says there, okay, it's $5. You give me your list, and next week come back pick up your tape.
Yeah,
and he had all the albums and everything else. And of course, when you're a broke teenager, I could scramble $5 or 5 kroner is what it was. But
I think that brings up an interesting point too, though, is the mixtapes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think music has any value anymore to the modern teenager because they can carry thousands of songs on their phone. We had to painstakingly choose what songs we were going to have, Okay. And I think because you had to choose what songs you were going to have on you, they had more meaning. Yeah. You would hear them more too, because, you had a collection of 30 songs versus 3,000 songs. How many times are you replaying those songs? Whereas for us, you had an album, you played like crazy when you made a mixtape.
Well, it's like that limited series I saw about Spotify. Spotify kind of changed how the digital music works by creating playlists, which is essentially a mixtape. And that was the whole thing. I mean, I even did that with CDs. I'd rip everything to MP3s, and I just pick and choose all the songs I wanted and create my own mixed CD at this point. And when I did with MP3s, you could have a couple hundred. And this was early days of iPods and things like that. But I had at the time a CD player in the car that would play MP3s.
Right.
And that for in the early 2000s, that was a big deal on the cars they had that feature in. Yeah. And it was nice. I'd throw in a CD and I'd have like 200 songs on it.
Right. But back when we had cassettes,
Yep.
you'd have 15 songs, and
Yeah.
you would replay 15 songs over and over and over again. So
Oh,
those songs would
by
really
the
become melted
90.
into
I go
you.
by the 90-minute tapes, and
Yep.
and
Oh yeah, I
so
remember
you get
those.
90 minutes of songs, so it's 45 minutes aside. But it was just creating a mixtape, your favorite songs. You wanted to hear a mix. You got tired of the radio. I still get tired of the radio, even though I have the Sirius radio. I get tired of that too because it's like they play a lot of the same crap over and over.
Or-
And then once in a while, I
yeah.
find a song that I like. It's like, oh, I want to hear this one, so I can actually sit as a favorite.
Mhm.
And once in a while, it'll pop up. Some start popping up way too much. I have to take them off. But
Or remember sitting there, you have your little recorder
next to the speaker,
and you'd be trying to wait for the DJ to stop talking through the intro because you didn't want to get the DJ.
and they would talk right up till it started.
Right. So you're trying to time it to record it so you don't get the DJ.
Yeah. Well, I learned, years when I was in college that part of it I knew why they did it, but it's like they actually would get the timing ahead of time for the songs.
Yeah.
You have 18 seconds to talk here before the first words.
Yep.
And they would get it down to where they can crank in every little ad read they need or whatever,
Yep.
or promotion for the show.
My cousin was a DJ for a radio station, and so I got to go in there and watch him work quite a few times. And sure, it's just like you said, every song would have the second count, so he knew exactly how many seconds he had to talk before the words started. Yeah. And they wanted him to talk right up to that point, so he had to. And when you do it long enough, he would see the second count and know exactly what to say to fit in that time slot. And but yeah.
Well, and that was a big deal. I mean, it was they part of it was I think they like, oh, if these kids are recording, we don't want them to have free music, It's just like nowadays nobody should have anything for free. And
or same with the words, you would record a song and then you have to replay it over and over again and write the words down yourself because we didn't get the lyrics given to us, And then they started putting them in the folds, which was cool.
Well, a lot of some of the albums would have them, things like that.
Yeah.
But it was they just didn't always have the lyrics, and so you'd had to, if you wanted to learn it. It's just like playing kids that I knew played growing up that played guitar, stuff like that. They would listen to them over and over and over again. So that was one thing about the last season of Stranger Things, where people criticized him knowing Master of Puppets. It's like, no, he played guitar, and trust me, he would have listened to that. If he liked that song, he would have listened to it over and over and been figuring out the notes and things like that because he wouldn't have had a key chart.
Right.
But if you learned a band's one band song, typically you could learn them all because they use a lot of the same areas within that. So,
and back then we'd go 40 years of singing a song wrong, not realizing what the correct lyrics were.
I know, because as we all know, there's still a bathroom on the right.
That's right.
Yeah, another one about mixtapes movie wise. Have you ever seen John Cusack's High Fidelity?
Oh, a long time ago.
Yeah, it came out in 2000. Jack Black's in it, really good in that.
Oh, I forgot he was in that.
Yeah. And basically, Cusack runs a record store. Now, this, of course, is when LPs were done. CDs had taken over just before the digital had taken over. This was around 2000, 2001 is when all the pirating was really happening online with like LimeWire and Napster and all that stuff. But this dealt with someone that loved music, and everything he got, it was all that stuff. And he would create mixtapes for people as what he liked to do. And that was part of the character and part of in the film, and that was watching him make those mixtapes and things like that. But yeah, it was I think I'll show you. Here's all the different pictures.
Oh my God. I just pulled up. Look at this from that movie.
Yeah, I was going to share all the different images here.
Yeah. Here, I'm just going to pop this up real quick.
Yeah.
Look how young Jack Black looks. Oh my God.
Yeah, well, he was about 30 here, I think.
Really?
Close to that. Yeah, he was.
He looks 12.
Yeah, I know. He's there. He was in a movie called Airborne.
I'll put yours back up. There you go.
Yeah, Airborne. When did it come out? 1993. He was in that. He played Augie, and he definitely. I don't know if I get any images of that one.
When was Jack Black born? Let's see. How old is he?
Well, he is. I can pull it up real quick. I got it right here. He is 53, so he's a year older than me. So in 93, he was already in his 20s. So yeah, he's like 30 something. He'd been about 32 when he did High Fidelity. So but yeah, a movie called Airborne, which came out in the early 90s, and California surfer moves to Ohio and has to learn how to rollerblade or something like that, because that's the whole premise of the movie. And Jack Black's like his buddy. So, but yeah, so I mean, this was another classic film, and there's things I like about this film, things I don't like. I think Cusack's good, but the character whines a little too much. It's all about his past relationships and stuff like that. And the music aspect's great. Jack Black was really good with the music stuff, because this is around the time he was doing Tenacious D. So he was just getting kind of known in that aspect as actually could be as a musician. And it's prior to him doing School of Rock, just by about 5-6 years, I think it was.
Sounds right.
So, but yeah, so definitely check out High Fidelity. That's another one there. And look at Cusack, still looks kind of young there. If you look at him now, he's just like Jack Black. He's almost 60. So, but yeah. So I mean, that's interesting about like I said, the Griffin with the mixtapes and seeing things like that. It's like, oh wow, I remember that. And even back in the early '90s, people were still making mixtapes, and not everybody switched over to CDs right away, because we all had cassette players in our cars, at least here in America. And while people would have like a portable CD player, they skipped a lot.
Yep. Oh yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah.
Little skipping. So, are you done on that topic?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
We covered 8 topics on that one topic. So
right. Really quick, we got some movies coming out here. We got Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse coming out this Friday.
Yeah.
Isn't Indiana Jones about to come out too?
End of June.
End of June. Okay, so that's end of June. So we got Spider-Man. I'm hearing good reviews on that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
The main 3 movies I think this month are going to be Spider-Man, Flash, and Indiana Jones.
An interesting movie coming out, religious-based movie, Padre Pio, or Pio. Shia LaBeouf plays Padre Pio. I'm interested in seeing that one. He's a saint that, but it's quite a different role for Shia LaBeouf. So, is it Buff or Boof? How do you say it?
I thought it was LaBeouf. So
LaBeouf. Okay.
So
yeah. So, but I think my big one is the Spider-Man movie, and then let's see. That's about it, I guess, for this upcoming week. Did you see The Machine?
Not yet.
No, I wanted to see that too.
Yeah, I haven't gone to the movies in a couple weeks, so I want to see The Machine. And then this week was just a busy week. I had I usually like to go on Tuesdays when I'm off, but I was busy all day yesterday.
Yeah,
and I got some other stuff to do. I got a lot I got to take care of, because times can go by fast, and then I get stuff I got to prep and get ready for San Diego if I want to have it. So.
Oh yeah, it's amazing how fast San Diego pops up. It seems like forever, and then all of a sudden Memorial Day happens, and it's like, wait, what? Tomorrow? What?
Yeah, I'm only like 50 days from check-in, so
yeah,
whatever it is. Long. So it goes by fast. And then I talked to Kevin this morning real quick about a couple of things for when we go to Salt Lake City for that show in September, because we still trying to plan that one out. So a lot going on there.
Yeah, for sure.
So if I get a chance to go to the movies, it would be great. If not, then I'll try to catch stuff in a couple weeks. But The Machine looks good. I want to see that one. And then I never did get a chance to see John Wick 4, and I know it's available digital, but I saw it comes out June 13th on Blu-ray, so I'll pick it up then.
Yeah, I'll watch that when it comes out.
Because I really wanted to see that too. It's more time than anything, And
yeah, it's been we've both been super busy.
Yeah, well, on the days I work anymore, I'm working almost 12-hour days. I mean, a couple of days I went in and had early shops where I was there at the store by 6 a.m. and then I still work till 5, 6, 7 o'clock sometimes at night, just because it's busy. And my thing is I got to make the money when I can, because I'm a gig worker. You never know what's going to come in. So,
yep. Hey, same here with real estate. You never know when the next deal is. It pops up, you got to run.
Exactly.
That was last night. I was planning on a run, and customer called saying, "Hey, what about this address?" I pull it up. Yep, it's available. Let's go. Hit the door and ran.
There you go.
Gotta
do it when you can.
Gotta do it when you can.
Exactly. So, hey.
All right, sirs.
We'll see you all next week, and hopefully we'll have a real topic. If not, we'll do the same thing again. See ya.